Good evening, well, I don't know if you're going to watch this at night, but my name is Jeremiah Diggs, Group 3, and I'm going to be sharing my theory with you guys. And my theory that I decided to look into was postcolonial theory, which is a very specialized theory. As I travel around and I go to different countries, one thing that I like to look at, I like to see what is authentically them and what is authentically something else. When I go to Hong Kong, per se, when I look at them as a Chinese country, but seeing how when Britain had been apart and came and really colonized Hong Kong, you get to see their handprint on it. And so you see this in places like driving on the left side of the road, or calling the elevator, which we would say as the lift, and just the whole learning British English over in Hong Kong, things of that nature, really that shows Britain's fingerprint on them. Really, what I just studied was postcolonial theory, and really I took this assignment a little differently than just really diving into the theory itself. I actually applied the theory to a case, and the case would be America. And so I hope that you guys bear with me as I try to get through and share with you some of the concepts and things that I received from doing the paper. Really, let me give you some background. First of all, many scholars think the founder, or really notice Edward Said as the founder of postcolonial theory. And postcolonialism is said to be inherently political theory that seeks freedom from the oppressed structures that colonizes individuals. Postcolonial theory in regards to communication is a variation of the critical tradition which investigates how power, oppression, and privilege are the products of certain kinds of communications throughout society. There are some things that I would also like for you to understand, which I like to say are key concepts in understanding my paper. The first one would be others. In the work that Said had done, he uses others as non-white population who are generalized or stereotypes, sort of like a subgroup oppressed under the dominant group's authority. One scholar even said that they would be thought of as non-human, as objects to be studied and not really to be understood. Then another concept would be mimicry, an ambivalent relationship between colonizers and the colonized, in which the colonized adopt the dominant group's assumptions, values, culture, and institutional ideas. This is seen when you think that you are a lower class of individual, and you have to get the proper education. You have to achieve more, things like that, and you mimic them, trying to talk like them, trying to dress like them, trying to understand the way that they would do things. Actually, the last one would be essentialism. Essentialism is defined as a drawing the essence from or to express the essence of an object. This is understood as generalization again, or stereotypes, or the belief that all members of a category share a common underlying essence. To say all New Yorkers are rude. That would be one way to be essentializing a certain degree of people, or to say all African Americans can play basketball. That's another one that is essentializing a whole group, when in reality, many people, myself included, cannot play basketball or are not really good at it. My thesis that I wanted to really point out and to look into was that, the United States, in the transition into a post-colonial nation, did not learn from its struggle as others under Britain's hegemonic influence, but rather perpetuated the same oppressive power by creating others within their own nation. And so I did this in a couple of ways. The first ways that I did this, I defined and looked into how America's or the United States colonists were seen as others from Britain's point of view. And really, this goes totally against what Edward Said says, because what he states is that it's a non-white, but really they came from the same culture, and really the major difference with them was the distance between the colonists in America and the Englishmen who were in England. And so it changed the classification of the Britons and the Britons and the Americans, and American connotates a different meaning of inferior, really marginalized, or a little less than the original Englishmen. No longer were they classified as a part of the dominant governing authorities. They had their laws made up by their countrymen back in Britain, which they did not like, which brought about, like we said, the Declaration of Independence that says no taxation without representation, and so forth and so on. The United States had an opportunity to learn from them breaking free from the structure, the hegemonic structure of Britain, but instead, in many ways, they didn't do that. And you say, how do I know? Because they created others on their own. They did this through three ways that I want to point out. The first way was that they didn't unlearn privilege of being a dominant authority. They didn't learn how to not look at their privileges. They thought they were rights instead of privileges. They didn't, the other one was they didn't avoid essentializing others. Really, by avoiding essentializing others is not putting people into pigeonholes, saying that certain people are like this, or saying certain things are like this, that women are like this, which perpetuates the same dominant hegemonic authority over individuals in their own country, the same way that they were also when they were trying to break free from Britain. There are three ways that, that the United States made others, and one of the ways that they made others was really found in the Constitution under Article 1, Section 2, to where they state slaves as 3/5 humans according. Because they didn't want the slave population to outweigh in the South than the things that were going on in the North, so they said they were 3/5 of a human. Another case would be the essentializing of women. They essentialize them to a point of being a certain role within society, but not as equal participants, and not allowing them to learn, to go to school, to think of things outside of this new post-colonial state, to look for, to really control their own destiny. I think that this is also an important factor that I point out in my paper. Also, I looked at immigrants. Immigrants being not just classified from different countries and things like that, but religious affiliation. And all this points back to communication, because they were the others. They were oppressed. They had to find other ways. Each one had their own struggles in becoming participants in the United States hegemonic structure or governing authority. The United States, post-colonial America, they had a noble beginning, and they had a great ideal. The Declaration says that all men are created equal and they have inalienable rights, and they had a way to promote that, but they struggled to find their own identities. And struggling to find their own identities, I would say they revamped British's hegemonic structure and took it even a point beyond that and started to, go past their own structures and created others underneath their governing authorities. Women, immigrants, slaves, others struggled to participate in the governing post-colonial nation, which we now call America, which we do love. And so that's what my paper points out in this particular case, is how the United States, how they fought for their own post-colonial nation, who put the same hegemonic structure on others or people within their nation. I thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed this. I look forward to your remarks. Thank you.